Happy Science Time Grade 10. We are now in lesson number 6 entitled Evidences of Plate Movement. So you learned that plates are moving, right? Because in lesson 1, we said that the lithosphere is stronger than the astherosphere. And in the last lesson, you learned the different ways or the different types of plate boundaries where these plates are moving. No? So there is a convergent boundary where two plates are moving toward each other, divergent boundary when two plates or where two plates are moving away from each other, and transform plate boundary where two plates are sliding past each other. But the question here is, are these huge masses of rocks na tinatawag nating plates, itong malalaking tipak ng bato na to, can they really move? Is it really possible for them to move? And if so, paano? Paano talaga? Paano sila nag-move? What causes them to move? So that is what we are going to talk about in lesson number 6 and in lesson number 7. So let us start. In 1912, this scientist, this German meteorologist, when we say meteorologist, someone who is studying the weather, right? Parang si Mang Tani dun sa 24 oras, no? He proposed a theory. So when we say theory, it is a possible explanation to something. Isa siyang paliwanag sa isang nangyayari sa sa mundo or sa universe, no? Hindi lang siya basta paliwanag, ito'y paliwanag na sinusuportahan ng experimentations, ng scientific method. Okay? So nag-undergo ng scientific method. And nabuo itong theory na to. And the theory is known as the Continental Drift Theory. So, ano po ba ang meron dito sa Continental Drift Theory ni Alfred Lothar Wegener? So that's the German meteorologist. His name is Alfred Lothar Wegener. So ano yung sinasabi niya dito sa Continental Drift Theory at ano yung pinapaliwanag nitong Continental Drift Theory? Remember, guys, that the main question here is it really possible for the plates, these big chunks of rocks sa surface or dun sa ibabaw ng mundo, to move? So, ito yung pinaliwanag ni Alfred Lothar Wegener, or ni Wegener na lang, ano? Sabi niya, he said that 250 million years ago, write it down, 250 million years ago, or MYA, the Earth was made up of one supercontinent. There was just this one supercontinent, this big continent. So now we have 7 continents, right? So these are North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Australia, Asia, and Antarctica. But before, 250 million years ago, wala pa tong mga kontinente na to. Meron lang isang malaking kontinente. And that continent is known as the Pangea. So I'm gonna write it down here. Pangea. So I know you already heard of this word before, no? So Pangea is this one super giant continent. And syempre, kung meron tayong super big continent, meron ding isang ocean lang. And that ocean is known as the Pantalasa. So I'm gonna write it down here. Pantalasa. Okay? So that was 250 million years ago. But over the years, sa pagdaan ng panahon, these continents slowly moved or drifted away. So when we say drift, nagmo-move siya. So naghiwa-hiwalay from one super big continent na Pangea, naghiwa-hiwalay siya into 7 continents that we know now. Yung sinabi ko kanina. Okay? And that is known as the continental drift. All right? So that is known as the continental drift. So meaning continents, because we're talking about continents, so one supercontinent known as Pangea, nag-drift, gumalaw, nag-move, naghiwa-hiwalay. Kaya siya tinawag na continental drift. And his explanation is known as the continental drift theory. Because theory, once again, is just an explanation. Okay? So, tinry niyang i-explain, tinry niyang magbigay ng explanation kung paano nangyayari itong drifting na to. Okay? However, people did not accept this nung panahon niya. Hindi kagad naniwala yung mga tao. Sabi nila, nung unang panahon, 7 continents na, but now, you're saying that there was just one super big continent known as Pangea? No. So what did he do para mapaniwala yung mga tao? para ma-accept ng mga tao yung kanyang theory. So he provided evidences. As a scientist, if you want to claim something or if you want to say something in science, kailangan may evidences ka. So what are those evidences? Okay, so in other words, he had to work like a detective. So like Detective Conan. And he started looking for evidences. Naghanap siya ng mga evidences to prove his theory of continental drift para mapatunayan that the continents really were drifting. At hanggang ngayon, doon didrift pa rin daw yung continents. Gumagalaw pa rin yung mga continents. Alright? So, here's his first evidence, the Continental jigsaw puzzle. So he called it the Continental jigsaw puzzle. So we have the 7 continents that we know, and it's really started in one super big continent known as Pangaea. So take a look at the shapes at the edges of these continents. Take a look at the edge of South America and Africa. So this one, I'm going to use my pen. This one is South America, and this one is Africa. Take a look at the right side or the right edge of South America and the left edge of Africa. Do you notice, guys, that they are like a jigsaw puzzle? So they really fit together. Napansin ni Wegener that the edges of the continents, example, yung sa South America and Africa, they are a perfect fit. So para silang pinaghiwalay na pwede mo silang pagdikitin. And true enough, kung titignan po natin yung movement ng mga continents mula doon sa super giant continent, tingnan natin kung saan nanggaling yung mga yan. Okay? So you can see here the edge of South America and the edge of Africa. Tingnan natin. Okay. So ganyan daw po yung nangyari, no? So yun yung tinatawag na continental jigsaw puzzle. He's saying that the edges of the continents are like the edges of a jigsaw puzzle. They are like a perfect fit para silang magkakadikit before na pinaghiwalay, pero pag pinagdikit mo ulit, perfect na fit sila. So yan yung unang evidence niya. Sabi niya, millions of years ago, itong mga continents na to, magkakadikit sila. But over time, sa pagdaan ng panahon, nag-drift sila, nagiwahiwalay sila into the 7 continents that we now know. So that's first evidence. The second evidence is fossil clues. Alright? So ano po ang meron sa fossil clues? I have here several fossils. So when we say fossils, these are the remains or mga bangkay, not necessarily bangkay, pero they are yung mga remains or mga naiiwan na katawan ng mga living organisms before na naging bato na. Okay, naging rocks na. And I have here 4 organisms. So the first organism that we will be talking about is this, the Cynognathus. Alright, so this Cynognathus is a land reptile. Alright, so reptile po siya, kalahi niya yung mga crocodiles, mga turtles, snakes, yan. And lizards. So Cynognathus, may nakita silang fossil ng Cynognathus sa South America and sa Africa. And this Cynognathus is a land reptile, meaning to say, sa lupa lang sila makikita. Now, if you will look at the map, you will see that South America is kilometers away from Africa. Napakalayo po ng South America sa Africa. How come na itong land reptile na to, na Cynognathus, ay makikita sa South America and Africa? So isa lang po ang sagot dyan, dati pong magkadikit si South America and si Africa. Another fossil here is the Lystrosaurus. So Lystrosaurus is another land reptile. And Lystrosaurus was found in the continents of Africa, India, here, India, I'm going to use my pointer, India, and Antarctica. So another land reptile na makikita sa Africa, India, and Antarctica. And we know now kung gaano kalalayo itong mga continents na to from each other. Meaning, dati silang magkakadikit. At itong Lystrosaurus na to ay malayang nakakalakbay sa Africa, sa India, at sa Antarctica. Because before, they were not separated by water. Pero ngayon, mga oceans na yung makikita mo sa pagitan nila. So hindi naman sila makakalangoy, di ba? And the last fossil here is this plant fossil known as the Glossopteris. So the Glossopteris is found in the southern continents, no? Makikita siya sa South America, Africa, Antarctica, and Australia. So, pinapakita lang nito that these continents before were joined together. Magkakadikit sila and naghiwa-hiwalay lang or nagdrift lang apart. Nagdrift apart or naghiwa-hiwalay lang sila. Okay? Now, one interesting fossil here is the fossil of the Mesosaurus. A Mesosaurus is a freshwater reptile. Freshwater, meaning to say sa tubig tabang lang siya na makikita. So pwedeng sa lake, pwedeng sa river, so tubig tabang. Hindi po siya makikita sa tubig alat or tubig dagat. But they found fossils of Mesosaurus in South America and Africa. And you can see that there are kilometers of ocean, this is Atlantic Ocean, na nasa pagitan ng South America and Africa. And this ocean is salt water. So pwedeng sabihin, may fossil ng Mesosaurus sa South America, may fossil ng Mesosaurus sa Africa. Well, because lumangoy siya. But remember, Mesosaurus is a freshwater reptile. Hindi po niya kayang mabuhay sa tubig alat or sa tubig dagat. So, bago siya makatawid from South America to Africa, it would take this freshwater reptile days, no? Or months. Okay, ganun katagal. So, these Mesosaurus, being a freshwater reptile, would not be able to travel that far and that long because freshwater lang siya, sa freshwater lang siya nabubuhay. So there's just one possible explanation for that. South America and Africa were not separated millions of years ago, but they were joined together. Magkadikit po sila. Okay? So, another here, anything interesting about Antarctica? So, they found fossils of living things sa Antarctica. They saw fossils of Glossopteris, a plant, and Lystrosaurus, a land reptile. But how is that possible if Antarctica is found sa South Pole? Napakalamig nun. Ibig sabihin lang yan, Antarctica was not in the South Pole before. Wala siya doon. Because they found fossils of living things there. Okay? So this means that Antarctica, in other words, this means that Antarctica was not in the South Pole before, but nakadikit po siya sa bandang taas dito in South America, Africa, and other continents. Evidence number 3 is coal deposits. Let's talk about Antarctica. Antarctica is found in the South Pole. Okay? When we say coal deposits, coal are fossil fuels. No? Coals are fossil fuels. Nabubuo po itong coal na to when the fossils of plants and other living things, when the remains of plants and other living things became fossilized at naging bato at due to chemical reactions, naging coal na siya. So, ibig sabihin, yung coal deposits na yan, yung mga coal na yan, dati ang katawan ng mga living organisms. But they saw coal sa Antarctica. So, how come na makakakita ka ng coal sa Antarctica? Coal are living organisms, no? Mga living things yan dati na na-fossilize. Pero nakakita sila nito sa Antarctica. Meaning to say, pinapatunayan nito that Antarctica was not in the South Pole before. Wala siya doon before. Nandun siya sa bandang taas, malapit sa equator, na tinitiran ng iba't ibang organisms. That's an evidence that continents really are moving. Now, evidence number 4, climate clues. Ito naman. They found glacier deposits. Okay? Pag sinabi natin glacier deposits, glacier, ibig sabihin, yellow. No? They found glacier deposits in South America, Africa, India, and Australia. South America, Africa, India, and Australia. Nakakita sila ng evidences doon na dating may mga yelo dyan sa mga lugar na yan. So, how is that possible? Pag pumunta ka dyan ngayon, ang init-init dyan. Well, isa lang po ang possible na sagot. Wala sila dyan dati. Maaring mas mababa pa yung place nila dyan dati. So, yun po yung tinatawag nating climate loss. Ibig sabihin, nagbabago-bago yung klima nitong mga places na to because wala po sila dyan dati. Alright, so ibig sabihin, ayan siya. Before, nandito po yung mga places na yan, yung South America, Africa, India, and Australia. But because of continental drift or continental drifting, nag-move yung mga yan, umangat, pumunta na po sila sa mga places nila, natunaw na yung yelo, but the evidence na dating may glacier dyan or may yelo dyan ay nandoon pa rin. So ginamit po yan ni Wegener as an evidence for continental drifting. Another and the last evidence for continental drift theory ni Wegener is rock loss. They found different or they found similar rock structures sa mga bato, no? Parehas na parehas yung mga rock structure na nakikita nila sa right side ng South America at sa left side ng Africa. So sa eastern South America and sa western part ng Africa. Meaning to say, dati po silang magkadikit, pero naghiwalay lang. Nag-drift lang sila. Kasi yung mga bato na makikita dito sa part na to ng South America are the same as the rock structures na makikita dito sa part na to ng Africa. Another for rock loss, they examined the mountain ranges or mga bulubundukin dito sa part na to ng North America that's called the Appalachian Mountains, and dito sa right side or sa left side ng Europe which is called the Caledonian Mountains. They examined the rocks na makikita sa mga mountain ranges na to at yung itsura ng mga mountain ranges, and they said that parehas na parehas lang. So paano nangyari yun na parang magkaibang manapakalayo nila sa isa't isa but they have the same structure? Parang nag-match yung mountain ranges, yung mga bulubundukin. Parang iisang bulubundukin lang siya dati na naghiwalay. So the possible explanation, before they were connected. But because of continental drifting, naghiwalay po sila. Okay? Unfortunately, Lothar Wegener died. No? And when he died, hindi po siya pinaniwalaan. Yung theories niya, yung mga evidence niya, or yung theory niya about continental drifting, hindi po tinanggap ng mga tao. But when he died, more evidences appeared.